Good morning, everyone. I'm Lindsay the lender, and I'm here again with Brad Waldman. He is a mortgage lender and real estate agent down in Florida, but he's also in Virginia. How are you doing this morning?
Excellent as always.
As always, yes. And it's going to be a stifling 95 degrees down there in Florida, sunny Florida.
I'm here for it. I'd rather have it 95 degrees than 45 degrees.
Uh, Amen to that. I am not a cold weather girl. Well, how are things going in the real estate and mortgage markets in Tampa right now?
I would say that everything is still shifting in the favor of buyers. Sellers are starting to come to the realization that they're going to have to move their price points down, offer concessions. Um, Most everything is improving for buyers, I would say, in the Tampa, Florida market.
It's definitely improving in the markets that I'm into, and Metro Atlanta is seeing some relief with buyers able to get, full closing costs, repairs done on, if the house comes back with some things on the inspection. So it really is a good time to get in there and negotiate for the best deal versus waiting in the spring, and then you have a bunch of people trying to move for the school year. Less competition usually means better deals in the fall and the winter time, especially in Florida, because y'all don't really have a winter that you can, you're snowed in where you can't go and look at homes like you probably did in Virginia.
Right. It does get cold for a couple of months here, but not cold in the same sense that we're getting snow. And uh, even when it's cold, it's not rainy and gloomy. It's generally just cold in the mornings and towards the evenings, but during the day it stays pretty temperature friendly out here.
Do y'all have people that, I mean, do you have a dead season in Florida? Probably not.
I don't know if there's a dead season. It definitely gets a little slower in January and February. Sometimes post holidays, it can be a little bit slow. People are just recovering from time off and their focus is going back to work and getting kids back in school, not necessarily moving.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And it seems that, every time we have the rates edge up, we end up having, buyers sit on the sidelines just to see what's going on with the market. We're seeing that rates are teetering, they just kind of are staying in the same range. But whenever we see the rates drop, tend to see more applications come in. And with rates being in the higher, six, sevens, that area, it becomes a little bit slower up here in the metro market. Are you seeing that as well?
In Florida, yes. In the Virginia market that I work in, which is comprised of Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Newport News, Hampton, the Hampton Roads market, Tidewater market, whatever you want to refer to it as, that market is very much a seller's market. Lots of buyers, lots of people wanting to do business. That is a market primarily, I would say, propped up by the military. So it's a good real estate economy there. It doesn't matter what rates are doing. That market is has been a seller's market for a long time, and I think it will continue to be a seller's market there.
Well, and that's the thing, it's all about desirability. And when you're looking in, the top school district, or you have to be in this school district or in this certain community, that's when you do tend to see people offering above asking and, sacrificing on the closing costs being paid because there's such a desire to live there. So I'm guessing you have that also in Florida, or is that pretty
I would
much?
I would say that's more of a Virginia market problem. I'm not seeing that here in Florida. There aren't many houses here that are selling 1 or 2 days on market. Everything is taking a little longer to sell here in Florida.
Yep. And we're seeing that too. I mean, it's funny because I had a buyer that was making an offer on a house that's been listed for 186 days. Okay, so half a year. And as soon as my buyer went to make the offer, the agent said they have multiple offers all of a sudden.
That
Uh,
agent would be lying.
Exactly. I was like, I was trying to, of course, I'm not the agent on it. I'm a mortgage person, but they're like, we need to know how high we can go because they're now asking for highest and best. And I'm like, is this the same house that's been listed for 186 days? And they said, yes. And I said, Okay. And so the agent had a talk with the other agent, and I mean, agents are convinced that when that happens, it's got to be a lie. I mean, there's no way that all of a sudden you have three buyers that want the same house that's been sitting on the market for 6 months.
It's unlikely. It's certainly possible, but it's very unlikely.
Yeah, yeah. And are you seeing, I wonder in Florida, new construction, is that really big right now, or is it mostly existing?
There are a lot of new construction sites popping up, but in my opinion, they're not selling out like they once did. It's very saturated. We also, out here where I'm at, we have something called a CDD, which is Community District Development, which is essentially a supplement to your real estate tax. And it's tied to your property for 25, 30 years in some cases, which I think is turning a lot of people off from new construction.
Is that the same as when I know in Maryland they have what they call betterment liens, where they'll go in and they build a neighborhood and then they charge every homeowner to build the roads, to build the street lights and everything. And basically it's called a betterment lien and it's split between all the homeowners that are getting that advantage. Is that kind of how
It's
it's
this,
done?
it's the same premise, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Those were pretty hefty in Maryland when I was, doing a lot of Maryland loans. Those could be 20, $30,000 split between the owners.
Yeah, I'd see them being somewhere between 2,500 and $3,000 a year in many cases.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll say, I mean, HOA, property taxes and insurance, that's really been the major affordability factor for a lot of people because, those calculators that they see online, a lot of those either are already accounting for 20% down, like on the Zillow or Realtor app, you'll see a calculator that's calculating the total payment. But a lot of people have the misconception they don't really pay attention to what's being put in there. So it will be like 20% down when they're not planning on putting down 20%, or it will just be the principal and interest. And it's not including the taxes, the insurance, the HOA, everything on the property. So it really is deceiving for a lot of people who start looking at homes before they actually get pre-approved because they think that principal and interest is going to be the total payment. I'm like, no, 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 no. That's the principal and interest. That doesn't count everything else. And so, I'm a huge advocate for, eliminating property taxes, lowering insurance for those. I mean, there are people who've paid 20 years into insurance and never had a claim. And what's the point of having insurance if you're going to have to go through, all this rigorous process just to get repaid for something that was a loss? And it seems like people in Florida deal with that a lot more than others because they're dealing with hurricanes and other flooding situations. So, that's a big thing. I think that if we could get, those expenses down, it would be more affordable. Obviously, if the rates drop, you're going to have more competition because more buyers are going to jump in. So it's just going to drive the prices up. What is your thought on how we make housing more affordable?
I don't know that I have any one viable solution. Making housing more affordable starts with better interest rates, but the problem with better interest rates is like you said, the prices are driven up when rates are too low. I think from my perspective, having done this for about 23 years, interest rates that are twos and three are just too low. Interest rates that are 6 and 7 are too high. I really think that rates in the fives are what's fair for both the consumer and the financial institutions. That's where I think it should start. We should have a fair market interest rate that will both give home buyers the opportunity at a reasonable payment, but also still prevent values from hyperinflating too fast.
Yep, I agree. Well, and we are, I've had buyers during COVID that saw the prices, going up so quickly that they, were convinced that they could go to another country and buy a home and do it cheaper, buy a cheaper house, have more appreciation. And I actually looked into it a couple of months ago just to see how the US compared. And our appreciation gains are so much higher. But the biggest difference is that our loans are fixed rates. There are so many countries that do not have fixed rates. They're adjustable. So as the market is moving, your payment is so unpredictable. Some are fixed for 3 or 5 years. Then you have to go back and do another, loan. You have to basically reset your loan if you don't want it to continue going up. And, a 30-year fixed, some people thought that maybe having a 40 or a 50-year, mortgage would lower the payment, but you'd be surprised at how little that lowers, the payment on 300, $400,000. So you and I are both advocates for rewriting the way interest is collected on mortgages because it needs to be more advantageous for the buyer, the homeowner, and more even keel, let's say, between the lender and the homeowner because you make such a small principal amount in the first, 3, 5 years? You're really
Really,
not making an impact.
it's the first 10 years you're not making much of an impact. I don't know that the mortgage industry or the big banks will ever go down that path willingly. They'll have to be forced because there's way too much money to be made in interest payments, as you pointed out. Uh, that is really the other thing that could be discussed. That would be a real solution to the problem is addressing how mortgages are amortized. But again, I think that is an uphill battle. Politicians don't want to touch that. There are smarter people than me that have their finger on the pulse to solutions like that, and they're not making any headway. So I'm not really sure if we will ever see the 30-year mortgage amortized in such a way that benefits the applicant or the borrower.
Well, and this is something that, a lot of, I actually have a client that I recently started following on social media, and she talks about she has a journey to paying off their mortgage, and they took a 30-year fixed with me. The rates have been stubbornly, back in the area where they closed in a couple of years ago. And they have just put their focus on basically, they called me and said, we would refinance if the rates drop, but only to a 10-year fixed because they have paid off like a third of the mortgage in 2.5, 3 years from just chunking extra money to the principal. Because she said that after closing, when she pulled out the amortization schedule and saw that on 200,000 that she was going to pay 651,000 back, that was really an eye opener. And I don't feel that enough people look at, how much is this costing me over 30 years? But even a car, like how much do you, and people go out and they focus on, I want my payment to be this. Well, when they put you in an 84 month with your payment where you wanted it, but the interest rate, you're paying 3 times that amount back on the car. So a lot of people just need to be more mindful. And if interest is really bothersome for you, make your extra payments to principal. You're going to pay the loan off that much faster and pay less interest over the life of the loan.
Well, all that is true. Most people don't have the money to do that.
Yeah.
People have children, they have schooling expenses, car expenses,
Yes.
house maintenance. Gas is $4 a gallon. People don't have the money for that. So while it sounds great and everybody could benefit from doing that, most people don't have the means to do it.
Yeah.
It's a kick the can down the road lifestyle lately. You
Yep.
you make your minimum payments and you hope to survive long enough to maybe get to better times.
Well, and I think that what Congress and what the administration could do is, obviously the federal funds rate is what controls your credit cards, your car loans, and home equity lines of credit. but they really need to loosen that up, lower the rates for those short-term loans. But in turn, if they lower the federal funds rate too much, it could shock the markets and basically cause inflation and drive mortgage rates back up. So there's a delicate balance, but my thought is, back in, I think it was the 70s, wasn't credit card interest a write-off on your taxes? I
I was
think it
born
was.
I was born in '79, so I wouldn't know, and
Me too.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't typically look back that far in history because it's not relevant to what we're
Or
doing
maybe
today.
actually it was the 80s. It was during the Carter administration because the interest rates were like 18%. So basically making the interest that they paid on consumer debt a write-off, you could write off that just like spent sales tax. Writing that off on your taxes, it was a dollar for dollar deduction. So if you made 50,000, but you spent 5,000, you would be able to say, I made 25,000. I mean, that to me sounds like something that would benefit. I mean, I have some people that are convinced they're not going to pay taxes anymore because they just don't like all the fraud and waste. So, that's a totally different story there. But, I think the US taxes us to death. And if we can figure out how to benefit the consumer with what they have to spend money on, then that's going to better their bottom dollar and allow them to qualify or allow them to afford to make the extra principal payment.
Honestly, I don't think our government really cares about the consumer. They don't care about anything but lining their own pockets
Yeah.
when we're talking about the political class in this
Yes.
country. And as far as fixing the tax system or giving Americans maybe some relief, I don't see that happening. There's no solution for what we're seeing today with inflation or
Well, the
higher interest
problem
rates.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that you have too many people who have hands in, builders or banks, having their hands in these politicians' pockets, and they're basically giving them money hand over fist to pass policies and laws that would benefit them. And, that actually became a big thing. I actually was not involved, did not care about politics whatsoever, but until it started affecting daily life. But, back in the day, I forgot what I was talking about. What were we talking about? We were talking about, now I forgot what I was talking about.
Did you just use the F word?
No, no,
I thought
no. I
I
didn't
heard
say,
it.
no, I said, gosh, I forgot what I was saying.
Ah,
I said the F word, forget.
there you go.
Yeah. Um,
We were talking about the way inflation and taxes are working right now against
oh,
the average
2008.
person.
Yeah, so we basically builders, there was a big thing against builders in before the crash, and builders sent lobbyists up to Congress, and they basically got in as a seller so they could dictate what lender you have to use, like give incentives. They basically made the lobbyist group so large up there that it benefited them and it hurt the consumer, because when a builder is not treated like a builder instead of like a seller. I mean, a seller could say, hey, I want you to use this person, or I'm not going to sell your house. That should not apply for a builder, because sometimes, in some communities, new construction may be the only option you have. You should not be required to use a certain person or a certain title company or have that monopoly on the the industry like some do. So if they did not have those lobbyists, I don't think that would have happened. I don't think they would have been given that much grace. Whereas we've been regulated down to the bone. I mean, I take 11 hours of CE every single year. Um, so that's my soapbox.
Honestly, the best way for people to focus on their home buying experience now is just to decide if you're comfortable paying the higher taxes on new construction, or if you'd prefer to buy something pre-existing, maybe get a better deal. I've got a little kitty, well, actually a big kitty visitor here, so my
I
camera
see
might be
your
shaking a
phone
little
is
bit.
shaking. Yeah. You're like, I'm gonna love up on your camera. Well, and we gotta either raise income or lower taxes. That's the main thing on, lowering rates, lowering taxes, lowering the burden on Americans to be able to afford things. And I've got people who are homeowners who want to go back to renting. And it's because of maintenance costs. I don't know if you're seeing it, but in Metro Atlanta, a lot of home improvement companies are being bought out by private equity and they're raising the prices across the board. I mean, the fact that you go to a vet, you have a dog that is sick and it costs $700 to fix the dog. I mean, it's gotten exponentially so much more expensive to care for a child, to care for a dog, to care for yourself or a home, that a lot of people are, going back to renting. And that might be what you need to do, especially if somebody is swallowed up in consumer debt. If they're sitting on a lot of equity, it might be the smartest thing to go ahead and sell that home, take your equity, pay off all your debts, and get into a better position so that you can own a home again. Um, what are your
I think for
thoughts?
some people that's true. For others, it might make more sense just to take a home equity line to pay the debt off, consolidate it into one payment, and control the interest. Take it from a 30% interest rate on your credit cards to maybe somewhere in the sevens or eights on a home equity line. That would be a smarter decision than selling your home and going back to renting. I will die on the hill that renting is never the answer. If you're
Yep,
renting, you're giving your money to somebody else to pay their house off or to fix their cash flow.
yep,
Renting does not stabilize your housing payment. Yes, if something's broken, you're not going to necessarily be the one to fix it, but good luck getting your landlord to fix it in every situation. Um, we're in a day and age where you're going to have to learn how to do more maintenance type things around your house yourself. I've had to become very handy over my lifespan, learning how to install toilets, basic electrical. And I'm not suggesting you should tackle something you're not comfortable with, but the internet has a YouTube or
YouTube, man.
any other number of information, uh, websites and such to teach you how to do things. So
Yep.
I'm an advocate of learning how to do things. I've recently taken up becoming my own mechanic because my vehicles were not built to last, and I'm
Wow.
fixing little problems here and there. I certainly can't fix everything, but I know how to change a tail light. I know how to change windshield wiper motor inserts. I know how to fix air conditioning systems. In some cases, um, point is, I've had to learn how to do those things, and I've saved myself thousands of dollars doing it. Is it fun? No, but it's necessary in today's economy. Uh, as far as being a consumer out there, I did go into my favorite men's store a couple of days ago, and I did buy, I don't know, I think I bought 10 or 9 or 10 shirts for $150. I went right to the clearance rack and I got some great stuff for what I would consider reasonable prices.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, my teenage daughter got $70 from her mom to buy one pair of jeans the other day. So you really have to pick your battles out there. You have
Yes.
to you don't have to go without, but you have to be a little more discerning about what you spend your money on and how you go about that.
Absolutely. I mean, thrift stores, consignment shops, that was a big part of, when you're trying to save money, who needs the brand new jeans? Because half of them already look like they've been worn for 2 years anyway. Go go to Plato's Closet and get that pair of jeans instead of spending $70 on brand new ones. It's funny. I actually walked out of my room one day and I remember my mom and my dad both looked at me and said, did those jeans already come like that? You seriously paid money for those jeans to look like that? And they're ripped all over the place. That was the style. You had to have the, ripped jeans.
You
And
have to be frugal today.
back in my day, it was the Z Cavaricis. You remember Z Cavaricis?
I have no
Long,
idea what that is.
What? You're born in 79. You should know what Z Cavaricis. They were the ones that like they had them at all the, mall stores, but they actually had flaps. So they would Velcro in the middle and you could pull them out. Like they had the pleated fronts. They made them in all different colors. They were jeans, pants, basically. Um, can't believe you don't know what Z Cavaricis are.
Lindsay, if I wasn't forced into what modern society is, I would probably live in a cave or a cabin somewhere. So,
Well, and I was going to say YouTube is great. I mean, I know a lot of widows that have actually taken control and said, you know what, I can sit here and worry about a handyman coming, or I can pull out YouTube and learn how to do this on my own. And you're getting it done. And one of the main expenses that I have run across in the last 2 years with my homeowners is when your AC unit goes out and it's 100 degrees outside.
mhm.
There is a 99% chance that it is the capacitor. And I always say that word capacitor is a capacitor. And I always think about Back to the Future when I say that word. But basically, that part is about $30 at Lowe's, Home Depot, Ace Hardware. But if you call an AC company and they say your capacitor is out, you are going to pay anywhere from $350 to $600 to get that piece replaced. You can easily go to YouTube and look up the instructions and have that part replaced in half an hour yourself. Make sure your power is out, make sure you're following the safety, instructions, but it's an easy fix. So, learning how to do these things yourself could save you $500 just in one call.
I don't know that I would advocate for somebody changing the capacitor on their unit because I've done that. It's not super easy.
We've done it. Yeah.
It can be done, but you need to be careful. You shouldn't, if you're not inclined to handle tools and you don't know your way around basic electrical components, you should totally hire a professional. Something with AC units that you can do, get a small shop vac and suck your lines, your white plumbing lines, the PVC lines out near your outdoor unit. Suck those every 3 to 4 months. Particularly if you're having a cooling issue, sometimes you get algae buildup in there, and you can just suck that out, and next thing you know, your unit's back on working fine.
Well, and I've never even thought of that. And are you talking about the white pipe that sticks out of the house
Yeah,
towards the,
it's got a little drip. It should
yeah,
it should it should have drip coming out of it.
yes.
Sometimes those get stopped up with algae and other gunk,
Huh.
bugs, all kinds of things get in there. Take a shop vac and you clear that line.
I
A lot
might
of
be
times
doing
your
that this afternoon.
a lot of times your unit will freeze up if the line is clogged, and that'll stop it from working and cause other breakdown in some of your other components.
I mean, it's not clogged and it's not stopping up, but it's probably helpful to clear that line anyway to make sure that it's not getting clogged. That's
Yeah, I would say
interesting.
I would say every 3 months, you
Hmm.
want to go out there and just shop vac the line.
Been 14 years. I think I better get on it.
Well, anytime you've ever had any technician come out to service your unit, he or
Okay.
she's going to do that anyway. That's one of
Okay.
the first things they do.
Well, that's good to know. Well, and you can also hose it down too. I actually had mine overheat when it was so hot. It was about a month ago. And mine, it's basically the fan was overheating. So I went out there with a cold hose, and the AC guy is on the phone with me. And he's like, yeah, just basically let the water hit the top of the fan. And it cooled off and basically started pushing cold air again. And I can't remember what explanation he gave me, but I'm sitting out there and the fan is obviously blowing water on me because it's going, and I'm just sitting there soaked, like just trying to cool it off. Um, huh. But when you want to save money, I mean, you definitely go and search it out before you go and pay somebody. And I had somebody who was working on an oil rig, and his mom was at the house, and the AC went out. And I said, I guarantee you it's the capacitor. And he called me like 4 hours later and said, $550 later, it was the capacitor. And he said, if I would have been there, I could have fixed it because I looked it up on YouTube and I know exactly where that part is. Um, but yeah, so, hopefully we can bring value to these chats that Brad and I have. Sometimes there's a lot of changes in the industry and sometimes we have very little change. Right now, it's kind of we're in that higher rates for longer situation. So, there's a lot of people taking advantage of the almost $20 trillion in equity that homeowners have right now. We actually just came out with a brand new, and I have not looked deeply into it. I don't know if Brad has either, but it's a renovation HELOC. Basically allows you to go off of up to 95% of the after renovated value. And that actually can be helpful for people who want to make substantial improvements on their home. And they can't just rely on what the value is now for the HELOC. They need to use the after renovated. So, definitely get in touch with Brad or I if we can help with any HELOC, any purchase. Brad's in Virginia and Florida and North Carolina too, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
North Carolina. And, if we're not licensed, we can definitely put you in touch with somebody who can help you with anything that you need in the state that you're in. Anything else you want to say, Brad?
Well, I think out there it's important to remember that interest rates will eventually get better, but they're not going to get better in the near future, as you stated. I get that question a lot with with customers every day. People are definitely unhappy with the rates. The reality is that's where we're at. You
Yeah,
don't really have much option but to pay the higher rate these days. And unfortunately, I don't have a crystal ball. You don't have a crystal ball. We don't know when rates will get better.
right.
Quite frankly, they should have already gotten better. Warsh was supposed to come in and be the savior and cut rates. He's not going to do it.
Yeah,
There's nobody coming to save interest rates. They're looking at $1 trillion a month being added to the country's deficit every single month, $1 trillion. It's unsustainable.
yeah,
Spending is out of control. Our country gives all our money to other countries and then
right.
borrows money from those same countries with high interest repayment
We can't even
situations.
afford the interest. I mean, we can hardly afford the interest daily on that debt. It's $40 trillion that we just hit.
The best advice I can give anybody out there watching is to be mindful of what you're consuming, spend your money wisely. Gas,
Mhm.
groceries, necessary goods. Anything else? Uh, you got to obviously make your house payment, your car insurance, but anything else, the vacations, all the additional non-necessary spending, that's going to hurt you. Right now is the time to conserve. The reason why companies continue to push prices up, manufacturers push prices up, is because we keep buying the stuff.
Yes. Supply and demand, people.
If you keep buying the stuff, they're going to keep pushing the prices up.
Yeah,
So if it's not on sale, I don't buy it.
me either. I'll even go off brand just because something's on sale. Like, I'm not loyal to craft or whatever.
We teach our kids when we go to the grocery store to buy the stuff that's on sale. Obviously, you want to still buy quality food. I'm not buying, food that's not quality, but when something's buy one get one free, we might be buying extra.
Yes. Yes. I love the Publix BOGOs.
Really, if I'm looking at apple juice and one brand is buy one get one free and it's not the brand we normally get, I'm getting the buy one get one free as long as it's a good brand or
Right.
halfway decent brand. And
Well,
we're
and
gonna
that's the
load.
problem too. Is like all these foods that we've been eating for years and years and years, decades, have just been getting more and more crappy. I mean, they're putting all these additives and things in them that I've gotten to where I'm looking at labels. Now, sometimes you can't afford to look at labels. You got to go with what you can afford. And my hope is that people can find more healthy options and make it more affordable for people to get I mean, I'm just amazed at how much it costs for a salad these days.
Well, we as a country have created billion-dollar industries with DoorDash and Grubhub and these other services that will, go get your food and bring it to you and charge you for it. Um, I actually had a gift card yesterday. I went to a, a famous burger establishment. I won't use any. I'm not gonna hurt the reputation or anything, but um, it's a. Oh, there's my big cat. There's a burger joint. It was $24 for a burger a drink and fries, and I had a $20 gift card, so it cost me $4. But not in my wildest dreams will I ever go back there and pay $24 for one person to eat a meal, a burger. I can make that same burger, fries, and a drink at home for about $4 a person.
Yes. I mean, and that's where I see a lot of people are wasting their money is when they're going out to eat all the time and DoorDash and all that stuff. I mean, the amount of money that you spend versus going to the store, getting it yourself. You can even get those pre-made meals that are kind of all together ready to cook. Just cook it. You don't have to be a chef. There's, ways to save money going to the grocery store and buying those meals versus going out. And, my point is that when someone goes to, let's say, McDonald's has a salad and the salad is $9, but the burger's 7. So you're disincentivizing people to get the salad because it costs more than the burger. That's where I don't understand how lettuce and tomato and a little bit of salad dressing costs more than a burger. And you
Let
know what I mean?
let's be honest, I'm still getting the burger even if the burger costs more. But
Right.
you're right. The reality is we're not incentivizing healthy options. We're pricing people out of healthy options. Uh,
Exactly.
Learn how to cook. Cooking, you can get all kinds of great recipes on YouTube. I have become quite the at-home chef.
I
I've, I've
know, I
always
see it.
I've always been a decent cook, but I have become quite the at-home chef, just getting recipes from other places and sort of put my own spin on things. I'm actually going to probably this weekend make a peach cobbler. I bought the supplies for it. I just haven't done it yet because things are getting in the way. Time is everything right now. But I plan on making a peach cobbler at some point this weekend, and it's going to be delightful. I'm
And get
looking
a little
forward
bit
to
of
it.
vanilla ice cream and put it
Right. You
perfect.
can make that too pretty easily. It's not hard to make vanilla ice
Oh
cream.
yeah. It's better to make it. I mean, it tastes better to have ice cream that's homemade. And the only ice cream I even buy anymore is the Breyers vanilla because it's the only one that has cream, sugar, milk. That's it. Like that's all that's in it. Everything else I read, it's got like a long list of ingredients this long. Fruits and vegetables are my friend. And, having this little farmer stand right up the road, it's about a mile away. I can go down there and get a watermelon, apples, all these things that they're growing locally. And I don't even have to set foot in a grocery store. And oftentimes I'll eat fruit for lunch and breakfast because it's so hot outside. So
Support your local farmers. A lot of times you can go get quite a bit of produce for very little money if you
even
buy
meat,
local
even
meat
meat farmers too.
meat as well.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, I'm glad everybody joined us today, and we will see you next time, Brad. I hope you have a great weekend. If I don't talk to you before then, oh, how's your job?
Everything's great. I'm feeling good.
Good. You look good. You look
Thank
happy,
you.
and your shirt is very, very colorful, and I love it.
I'm in my floral pattern area. I'm wearing a lot of floral and Hawaiian designs these days. It's comfortable. It suits the weather and the environment that I'm in,
Yeah.
and it's fashion forward.
Well, you're bringing a smile to my face. You'll bring a smile to everybody else's face that sees your shirt today.
Great. Thanks, Lindsay. I appreciate your
Thank
time today.
you. We'll see you later.
Take care.